Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome to our Construction Online 2020 webinar, introducing the new Construction Online, the new platform for the modern builder. I'm Holly Gibson, product specialist here at UDA Technologies, joined by my colleague Jordan Davis.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the webinar.
We are so excited to show you what we have done for you guys with Construction Online 2020. Of course, our team has been hard at work designing and working on and implementing all sorts of new features and improvements for Construction Online 2020, and we cannot wait to show you today. So with that, I guess let's go ahead and dive in, Jordan.
Absolutely. I think we have a lot to cover today.
We do.
Especially looking at the menu of options so that we could really take the webinar in.
Yeah, that's right. There's really so much that we could cover. Like I mentioned, our team really has been hard at work, really implementing thoughtful new features and improvements and things for you guys to use to really build better, faster, and smarter every day. That's sort of our motto around here, and what our ultimate goal is your success. And we think that looks like building better, building faster, and building smarter. So that's really what we always keep in mind when we are looking at new features, enhancements, improvements that we want to bring to our customers. And I think you guys will be really excited about what you see today. Construction Online 2020, of course, is the sort of latest evolution of Construction Online, which serves just over 650,000 of you guys all over the world. We're helping project teams manage upwards of $80 billion worth of projects on a daily basis. So we recognize that with that, it's really critical in terms of the tools that you have available, and we definitely, continue to expand that tool set that you have to be able to run your projects every day. As we look back over the last several months, of course, many of you have joined us for sneak peeks over the last couple of months for Construction Online 2020, and there's definitely been a lot of improvements lately, a lot of new features.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a look at all of the things that we've added in the past few months, it's a lot to keep up with. We're really excited to kind of structure things in a way to show you what the integrated Construction Online is going to look like and what you really can have access to in the platform. Coming off the success of our massive update to the navigation last year, coming into the beginning of 2019, we're really taking things in Construction Online to, I think, an even greater step forward this year in 2020. I know last year someone had commented that the updates that we made really are taking the platform light years ahead, and I think we're going so much further and so much faster now on the back of the success that we've had in the past year. We're bringing brand new features to the platform, things that haven't been accessible before, things like time tracking, instant messaging to keep your field and office teams, or really everyone in your company on the same page in the same location. Pulling all of that information into one truly unified project management platform. We've got some things that we haven't shown today as well. One thing that I think a lot of the attendees here today are excited about is going to be the updates to estimating. We'll talk more about that later. And of course, we actually do have a webinar that is going to focus specifically on the estimating updates because it's a big one.
It definitely is, and we will of course sneak peek or preview that for you guys today. One common question that we often get in these webinars is, when can I have these new features? So we're excited to say that for those of you who are already Construction Online customers, these are going to be available to you now. So log into your account. You may have already seen some of those in action today. And may have seen, some of the things that we look at when we, we'll focus on those communication tools, some of the new organization tools that we've introduced. So we'll jump into those. Over the last couple of months, we've also added things like new reporting. I think 38 new reports and counting. That's something we're continuing to add for you guys. Imports of things like Google Maps, additional places where you can capture those online or e-signatures. So a ton of great improvements throughout the platform.
Yeah, and I think that those improvements also are reflected in our mobile app. We know just how important it is to be able to access your project information information about things that are happening in the field, and we're really working hard to keep our mobile app moving just as fast as the rest of our platform. So those of you who have been working with us to this point have probably seen those updates roll out. We're not going to dive too heavy into the mobile app today, but do keep in mind, we're really working around the clock on every single facet of Construction Online. Those of you who have logged in today have probably noticed the hard work as it has actually gone live, and we're actually looking at the updates today.
That's right. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the things that you'll notice in your Construction Online is some enhancements to the way that you view and organize your information. So we made some enhancements to the navigation or the way that you get around. It looks really nice, but what I think you'll see as well is that it's also super useful. So you'll notice that you have some new sections here on the left-hand side, really just to organize and group the tools that you're using every day. So you have a new company section here at the top with some of that company data, roll-up data, things that are going to apply across all of your projects. That's also where you'll see things like all of those new reports that we talked about, the time tracking that we'll jump into in just a moment here. You'll notice as well that you have a brand new sales management section. This includes those lead tracking and opportunity management tools, as well as some of those file management tools as well. Again, we know that's an important thing that you guys are doing day to day. One thing that's really cool about this new interface is that you can, based on maybe what you're working on day to day, sort of customize this view a little bit by choosing to keep things collapsed or expanded. You can really go in and do some organization here on this left-hand panel.
Yeah, and flexibility really is one of the highlights or one of the standouts of the left sidebar. As you might have noticed, we've also expanded and added a few new items to the sections where you're actually looking at your projects. Now, most of you might be familiar with the centralizing concept of Construction Online, which is really managing projects in a centralized location. But for those of you who are just joining, everything inside of Construction Online when it comes to managing your project is going to be found in exactly that, a project, which is what we're looking at once we move past some of the groupings at the top here. So this favorites section is actually showing us certain projects that we've chosen to highlight or call out inside of the platform. Now, what's new about this project menu is that you can also see projects that you've worked on or projects you've added recently. This really helps you keep in the loop if you're trying to find a project that's brand new. Maybe you don't know the name of the project as well as you should just yet. It happens from time to time, right? But it's also really easy to find that information now. So you can actually see new projects as they're landing inside the platform.
Exactly. Now, another thing that we've done when it comes to organizing your projects is to give you some more ways to really filter, sort, and search for different projects that you might need to find. You've always had the ability here on this panel to group your projects by type. So typically that's going to be just different types of jobs that you do. You'll notice my account here, we've got commercial, residential, light commercial, multifamily. So if you're doing different types of jobs, you may want to tag them that way and be able to group them. But one thing that we've added over the last several months getting ready for Construction Online 2020 are some additional ways that you can really tag and organize your projects. So when you create a project now, you can assign it a stage or a category or a region or an office. And so now we've given you an ability to really sort the project list that you see kind of in your main panel by any number of those items. So currently we're grouped by project type, but I know a lot of people who really like to follow a process, kind of a stage. So maybe we want to group by project stage. You can make that quick adjustment, and then we can see, how many jobs are currently in process, how many are maybe in a warranty phase or an estimating phase here. If you're a company that operates out of multiple offices, maybe we want to sort the list by office or division or region. So anything that you're using to organize your projects, you can now use to group them over here on this left-hand side so that you can always find what you need easily.
Speaking of finding things that you need easily, you might have noticed that we've also added an option to search for projects in the left sidebar. This is a really dynamic search. As soon as you start typing, the list will begin to filter down, keying off of really whatever you're looking for. So we think that this is really going to help you narrow down, especially for those companies who have very high volume of projects inside of Construction Online, with the ability to sort and filter this list the way that you would like. Or if you know exactly which project you're looking for and you don't want to dig through the alphabetical menu or something like that, you can just jump straight to the project here without needing to leave the page at all.
And finally, one other thing that you can do here that I think is really nice, because I do enjoy organizing things, but sometimes that takes a little bit of time. So anything we can do to speed that up, but everything that you see here is also drag and drop. So if I'm noticing here that I've got a few projects that I haven't yet tagged to an office, I can just pick them up, drag them to the section where I want them to go, and we're done. My organizing is done for the day. So a lot of really nice tools that you'll see here on the left to really keep your projects organized, give you a way to find what you're looking for really quickly, and expand out, taking advantage of all that Construction Online has to offer when it comes to just organizing, grouping, and filtering those projects.
Yeah, it really does supercharge those custom fields inside of the project setup, because every single one of these fields has the ability for you to customize the list options. So you can see this is our project stage. This is how we move through our projects and process. This could be wildly different for your company depending on the industry segment that you're in, depending on the types of projects you work on, or really just depending on your background and experience. With such a flexible tool at your disposal now, you can really communicate effectively across your organization about which projects are in which stage, and really help your teams understand what projects they should be focusing on given their roles in the company.
Mm-hmm. Now, one other thing that you might notice is a little bit different when you log in is the location of your help menu. So one thing we wanted to do also with Construction Online 2020 is just put that a little bit more front and center. So you'll now notice you have a question mark here at the top of your screen. That's just for easy access to our help library. You can go ahead and search for things, browse our online knowledge base from here anytime, and always send us a message from here as well.
Yeah, we think this is important to highlight because, as you can see, we've been rolling out new updates, new features, and really expanding Construction Online from a toolset standpoint. As we expand the toolsets out, you'll also want to expand your knowledge of the tools and how they work. And so we really wanted to make it easy for you to quickly reference things like how Redline 2.0 works. If you haven't joined us in the last few webinars, you really should take a look at Redline.
Definitely should. So for sure, use this great resource. Now, you'll notice, of course, you've got your help at the top. Part of that also is to make room for some of the awesome new communication tools that we're making available with Construction Online 2020 as well. So you guys might notice that I have a new tool resting here at the bottom of my screen, and this is our brand new communication tool, Envoy Chat. What this is it allows for instant, quick, easy communication between you and the rest of your team. And you can see that, it lets you know immediately when you get a new chat or a message. So I can see that I've got 3 that need my attention right now. Super easy to use, and again, just that fast and easy communication. So you'll find Envoy Chat here in the bottom right. You'll also notice that you can see up in this area here, if you have new chats, you'll get an alert on the top of the screen as well, and you'll also be able to see who else is online with you, and what projects they're working on, or what what maybe they're working on an estimate or a schedule. So you'll be able to see your colleagues online, what they're up to, and be able to send that instant back and forth communication there.
Yeah, and along with the front and center aspects of Envoy Chat, we also understand sometimes you really just want to put your head down and get to work. So what you'll see inside of Envoy Chat is not only the ability to quickly send a message internally to somebody else on your team, you'll also have the ability to hide Envoy Chat in some cases if you really just need to focus in on maybe getting out a proposal because you have too many leads coming in right now and you just have to get these estimates done so you can start or continue to land new projects and new jobs to keep your company moving forward. Envoy Chat is incredibly fast. It's faster than text messaging by far. It's in a completely different league than email. And we've already seen companies using this tool to communicate with each other, whether they're in the office or in the field, to remind each other of things that are coming up. It's a really great, lightweight communication tool. If you haven't taken a look or if you haven't tried sending a message yet, it's really easy. You absolutely should try it out. I was speaking with one of our newer clients actually last week and they were describing to me how they run their business through chat. Before signing up with Construction Online, they were using a mix of different instant messaging tools, and really this is something that they saw instant application for. So really, if you're using text messaging right now to communicate about different items or different projects, consider switching, because the messages are going to go directly between the web platform and the mobile app. So you can actually send a message directly to somebody and have them reply from their phone in seconds.
You can, yeah. I see some great questions coming in from some of you guys who are already finding and using that Envoy chat. And you're right, Jordan, it's such a lightweight when it comes to ease of use. It's such an easy tool to use, but it's also such a heavyweight when it comes to what it can do for your team. We've seen people jump in and start using this immediately and are telling us that they're seeing improved communication, again, just right away. So such a great tool to be using. Of course, it is available on that mobile, on the mobile app as well. I see a great question coming in, just asking if you can associate Envoy Chat with project records. So a quick update on what we're seeing there. Currently, Envoy chats are outside of projects. So right now you can create group chats, so you can add different team members and kind of have a group chat going with several of your team or just one-to-one. And really the next step for us with that Envoy chat will be project chats, where you can actually have those automatically created for different projects that you're working on. So stay tuned. We can't wait to continue to really expand out what we're offering in communication here with Envoy.
Yeah, everyone buckle up, because 2020 is going to be a serious year to pay attention to Construction Online.
Absolutely. Now, on the communication front, there are a couple of other things that we've been able to do this year in 2020 that, again, we've seen for those of you who are already using Construction Online, who have that these have been some really popular tools. Envoy, of course, facilitates that instant communication that's happening, but of course, very often you'll have people, especially outside the team, communicating with you sort of the old-fashioned way, sending in those emails. So the question is, what happens when you get an email in your regular inbox from someone who's maybe not using Construction Online? What's going to be the best way to manage that? And that's where another new feature, the inbound emails, really shine, really come into play and give you a great place to store that information.
Yeah, so we did a deep dive into the inbound emails a couple of months ago now at this point, so we thought it was good to highlight it and show you how simple and straightforward it is. Whenever you open up one of your projects, maybe you want to search for one, you have a burning email that you've been staring at, maybe you haven't sent a reply yet, or maybe you absolutely know, we need to put this email on record for our project. Well, there's a really simple way to do that now. All you have to do is head to the communication menu inside of a project and open up the inbound emails tool. What you'll see inside of the inbound emails tool is that every single project inside of Construction Online has its own unique inbound project email address. And it couldn't be simpler to send or store emails inside of Construction Online. All you'll have to do is take this email address, forward that email in to the address, and next thing you know, you'll have an on-record, easily accessible, searchable, and viewable emails saved directly into the project. We've added a few bells and whistles to the email system where you can take attachments that might have been sent your way. I've seen people pull plans in from their architects into the platform this way. I mean, it really is pretty simple. I've seen people send in photos. I've seen people send in items they might want to use for client selections later on down the road, or translating materials in, maybe an answer to a submittal that someone just forgot how to reply to a submittal inside of Construction Online for. Either way, we understand that you can't always control what other people do, but what you can control is where those emails land, and you can put them right into the project.
Exactly. And what we see a lot of people do here, with each project being assigned its own address, really the only thing that you need to do is come into your account, go ahead and copy that address, and then head to your email. You can just set it up as a contact, name it 2272 Hamilton Project, or whatever you want to do there. Paste that email address in, and that way when you get things related to that project, it's really super fast and easy. You can just essentially go ahead and forward those emails over, get the information in, and then once it's there, you'll notice with those attachments, I can just preview, save them, go ahead and drop them in the project files. And we can do all of that from right here.
You could even do something ridiculous like download the photo and then drop it into an Envoy chat message to send it right across. Like, look, can you believe this guy sent us this? Look at this, right? So some interesting cross-pollination that you could do there. Now, I see Sydney has flagged something that came in as not really a question. This is an excellent suggestion. I absolutely love this. I just want to read it out verbatim. I think this is a great idea. The great thing about inbound email is that you can change the subject of the email when you forward it to Construction Online so that you can search and find it faster. Absolutely brilliant idea. I've made that suggestion a few times myself. You can even tag the email in certain ways just by changing the subject line so that you know, well, this was about the concrete pour, or this email was about, I don't know, the conduit that we needed to run, right? Really, really great suggestion. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion. We also have another client asking, is there a way to just BCC emails that you're sending, from other email clients? And that's also a great idea, a great way to get information here. So it doesn't have to be a forward. You can CC or BCC when you're sending out of your regular email client. And that's a great way to get that communication here as well. Lastly, it looks like we have a great question here about the inbound emails being restricted. So you can place some restrictions. And one of the nice things too about this tool is that you can actually restrict who is allowed to send emails to this address. So you do have some an approved senders list essentially. So you can decide who in your company can send emails into this particular project, and you're also able to add additional email addresses if you need to, but by default it's really just going to be your internal team. Now,
well, and I was going to say you can absolutely restrict the viewing permissions for this page from anyone who's in your company. As long as they're not an administrator, you can turn off the inbound email access. Both from a sending standpoint, so they aren't just filling it with random emails, you can have a little more control. But you can also hide this feature or block this feature on a per project basis or globally, per employee or per Construction Online user.
Now, another thing that's really improved with Construction Online 2020 has been not just communication when it comes to capturing emails this way, but we've also given you another way to be able to capture these from your inbox, and that's through one of the new tools that we introduced this year, your Construction Online Drive. So Construction Online Drive is actually a Windows app that you're able to download onto your desktop. So I'll go ahead and pull that up on my screen here. And it really facilitates a number of things. So a lot of file transfer, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. But what a lot of people don't know about the Drive is that it actually also works with your emails as well. So you can take emails that you receive, maybe in your Outlook, drag and drop them directly here. And then once they land here, they're automatically relayed and uploaded right into your inbound emails list in Construction Online. So really, you can, of course, go ahead and forward those. A lot of people have rules set up. You can CC people, or you can just drag and drop. So there's almost, it's foolproof, kind of however you like to work, then it is super easy to get that information in. And Drive also allows us to pull in some additional types of project information as well.
Yeah, Construction Online Drive is a really versatile tool. I know that it has the title the easiest place to download Drive is actually in the files section of pretty much any project in Construction Online, but it does a lot more than just allow you to upload files. It also shows you all the files that are inside of Construction Online and gives you the ability to open those files on your desktop computer. So this can really come in handy, for instance, if we're looking at a Word document maybe that we wanted to edit and have a little more control over, or maybe you're just a little more familiar with the Word editing system. You'll also see there's locations for albums, which makes bulk uploading photos much, much easier. What's surprising about Drive is that you can actually open and edit photos directly from your desktop if you're maybe skilled at graphic design, or there's specific programs where you want to add certain annotations to photos. You can do that quickly, and as soon as you close the image, it will re-upload and update the image inside of Construction Online for you as well. So there's a lot of really interesting applications for Drive. If you haven't downloaded it yet, all you have to do is find the app. You can download it from the banner here on the left sidebar of Files. Download Drive and log in with your Construction Online account. Everything else happens automatically. It's a pretty fantastic tool.
I think you just made up a word there,
Nope,
Jordan.
it's not mine. I stole it from someone. It sounds like a word from a company that I can't mention because they trademark everything. But.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you that Drive is definitely just such a fast and easy way to pull information into the system and have that easy point of access. I know that many of you are working with files pretty heavily throughout the day, so if that sounds like you, Drive is just a great easy access point, something you can keep open on your computer and kind of have handy as you're going about your day there. It also allows you to not only pull in files, but you can pull in entire folders, folder structures, have those uploads completed very quickly here. And of course, in addition to the emails, you can also pull in schedules. So if you needed to pull in and create schedules from a Microsoft project file or maybe an Oracle file base, if someone sends you a schedule in that format, you would be able to go ahead and pull that in and have the schedule create. And lastly, one thing that it does allow you to do, because of course you can drag and drop files into Construction Online. It has an outstanding file system just within the web interface, but it does allow you to pull in things like attachments from emails without having to download them locally to your hard drive first. So you can go directly from email into Drive without any downloading on your side. So super fast and easy to go ahead and use that.
Yeah, it seems like such a small thing, but when you're actually in the middle of trying to pull attachments out of an email, anytime that you can save any amount of clicks that you can reduce really adds up over time. So yeah, if you haven't tried using Drive yet, give it a shot. It just works right out of the box.
It does. It's awesome. So switching gears, I know that one of the things, as we kind of look at, communication tools, file management tools, team management tools, one of the really popular requests that we have seen over the last couple of years has been a way to really expand out time tracking. And I'm so excited to introduce what we've done this year. As many of you know, time tracking capabilities have been on your Construction Online mobile app for a while, allowing your team members to clock in and out and send those timesheets to you. But with Construction Online 2020, we've actually built a brand new administrative page essentially for time tracking right within Construction Online that gives you some really awesome information and data as far as not just who's clocking in, but where they are and how many total hours do people have and how those should be coded. So a lot of great information coming from that time tracking.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, I guess the pun wasn't intended, listening to our current clients, listening to people looking into Construction Online to really find out what does an excellent top tier time tracking platform need for you to be successful managing the hours budgeted for projects, the hours budgeted for payroll, and really what's the easiest way to see this information. So when you land on the time tracking page, we're presenting that information in a very organized way for you. Now we're looking at the current on the clock table at the very top right. This gives you direct information, who's working right now, what project are they clocked into at the moment, so where are they working, and if we really want to find out where they're working, and I know this is a concern every once in a while, that people might be clocking in, but they're not really at the job. Maybe they're kind of burning 20 minutes here, burning 20 minutes there. Well, we've added in an expanded GPS function to the time tracking, both in the mobile app and also online, that will let you zero in and really see where are people clocking in, where are they clocking out. So this is going to give you a lot more visibility over your teams, not just how long that they've spent on a project versus how much you budgeted in terms of spending on that project, but also are they really where they say they are. And while we would hope in the ideal world, right, that we didn't have to worry about this, those of you who have dealt with questionable timesheets in the past know, unfortunately, sometimes you have to ask. Well, instead of asking, you can know ahead of time, then ask, and make your decisions accordingly from there. So not to take things on kind of a dark side road there, but it is important and you need that information.
You do, and it's great to have that information at hand. Now, what we're looking at here is on the clock. So this is showing, like you said, who's actually clocked in right now. If we want to see that same map view for maybe a historical period, you've got that available to you as well. There's actually a time tracking map that you can filter similar to your list there, so we can see, by a specific time frame. Maybe I want to just look at the current pay period. And I can even filter this down and maybe look at only a particular employee, or, maybe only punches for a certain project, which is a great way, Jordan, like in that scenario that you mentioned, if we really are expecting, all of our time clock entries for this particular project here to be in Georgia, and I'm seeing most of them in a different location, then, perhaps that's what you're expecting, and perhaps it's not, but it just gives you a great visibility into your employees and their time punches as a whole, and then how that breaks down on a per project basis, or how that breaks down from a location basis. Now, of course, just like all of your other tools in Construction Online, we do provide some great reporting as well. So you're looking at your map view here, and able to really drill in and see those specific punches from a more visual aspect. But when it comes time to maybe do payroll and you want to run a report, you can come here and either run those reports as a PDF or export those timesheets out to Excel with as much or as little detail as you need.
Yeah, and if you're just wanting to reference someone's timesheet for the current pay period or maybe last pay period, just to see how the numbers broke down, you can do that from the time summary page as well. If you look at the table of employees, what you'll see is there's an option to actually drill down into the different timesheets that have been logged in the selected time period. So we can see for Jim what projects he has been clocking into and clocking out of. We're also going to see something that is going to preemptively answer a question that just came in a few seconds ago. Are there plans to tie in financial information? So the short answer is absolutely. And the slightly longer answer would be you can do that using this cost code field. Now, this is something we've been really, really excited to highlight for the past couple of weeks. We've kind of touched on them somewhat. We haven't really drilled down into them too much just yet ourselves, but we are really, really excited to reveal some of the ambitious plans that we have for cost codes throughout Construction Online. And we really think that the cost code system starts and really starts to flex its power a little bit inside of the time tracking feature. So not only can you give your team the ability to clock into and clock out of specific projects, what you'll start to see is that you can also give them options per project to clock into and show what part of the project from a cost standpoint they're working on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are things that, again, for me as an administrator, I can come in and pull that information. I can go through and do some of that coding so that can be included in my exports and reports, really to give me some detailed breakdown of that information. And then, stay tuned. So we won't cover this in too much depth today, but we will 1 week from today be covering Construction Online 2020's mobile app. So we'll spend some time looking at the mobile app, time tracking from a mobile perspective. What does that clock in and clock out look like for your employees? And we'll also cover time tracking in depth the week following that. So we do hope you'll join us for those sessions. But this has been such a popular feature, again, since we introduced it. And, so many of you guys, I see some great questions coming in here just in terms of some of the cost coding and future plans. So just to touch on some of that today, some of the most common questions are just about what about future plans in terms of payroll or QuickBooks integration? So that's definitely something on the map. A few things that are on the map for us in the next couple of steps for time tracking would be to allow you as administrators to set up requirements, whether we wanted to require maybe a cost code or a project, or if you want it to be a little more free form. And then to also go ahead and tie in some of those exports from a QuickBooks perspective or from a project costing perspective, to be able to budget hours and do some comparisons there. So again, stay tuned in 2020. Those are definitely things on the map, and we'll actually touch on some of those things as we go into the webinar in a couple of weeks. Now, of course, cost codes have been a really great and really common question when we look at time tracking, because we definitely want to be able to code those hours to specific projects or specific cost codes. We know a lot of you use that cost code system. Another thing, though, that we've introduced for Construction Online 2020 is the ability to use cost codes really throughout Construction Online. It's always fun to go in and see how many of you guys have just already found this new feature and started using it on your own. We of course provide for you the CSI and NAHB cost codes to be a part of your Construction Online account just by default, but you can of course upload or create your own cost codes, and you will actually start to notice that throughout Construction Online, the ability to add a cost code not just to time tracking but to really just about anything else you might work with.
Yeah, so, starting with some of the more straightforward options, of course, you'll see there's a cost code field inside of the estimate, which just makes a ton of sense. This gives you the flexibility of attaching a specific reference point inside of your estimate from a financial standpoint without necessarily affecting any other integrations or ways that you want to list the item out from an accounting or tracking standpoint. But what this really lets you do is, and what you're going to start to see as we continue to expand outwards with the cost code system and Construction Online, is going to be a lot of connection points between really interesting parts of the project. So you'll see there's a space to add a cost code field into simple items like to-dos, or adding items in on a punch list item or issue that needs to be addressed. This is really going to start to tie together not only the things that need to be done in the platform, but how those items are affecting the project from a cost basis or from a financial standpoint. This is why we've also added in a new cost impact field, which lets you start to input and gather that information into Construction Online. Now, again, we have some very, very ambitious plans for our cost coding system. So right now we're going to emphasize and encourage you to begin thinking about how you want to structure your cost codes. They're very simple to build. They're even simpler to import if you have a structure already. In fact, I think that our team's work on the import templates for cost codes are about as straightforward as you can possibly get. But do keep in mind the potential here to tie together different parts of the project that traditionally have been useful on their own in their own reports, but how much more powerful all of these features are going to become when they're telling you how much did this end up impacting your project in terms of a financial standpoint. How much did the scheduled delay, for instance, end up impacting your overall budget as a function of the project's efficiency, right? So keep an eye out. Adding a cost code in, very simple. Once you have your list set, you'll want to apply the cost code to the project. You saw a few minutes ago, Holly had flipped the switch on, picked the cost code set, and away she went, adding in cost codes to pretty much almost every major feature inside of Construction Online. So, yeah, absolutely. If you haven't taken a look yet, give it a shot.
Definitely. Once you have your cost codes in, or if you want to use some of the sets that we're providing, really as you set up a project, it'll be one of the things you're prompted to enter is, which cost code list or set do you want to use? So you'll just choose the appropriate one. Of course, for most companies, that's just going to be one cost code set, but we do allow for the flexibility to store and manage multiple sets because we work with so many of you guys who do different types of jobs or people that need to have different sets for different reasons. So we did want to provide that flexibility. You can see that for this project, I'm just using a standard CSI 16 division set. And some of this, we've had a cost impact that you've been able to enter for certain things like RFIs or, like you mentioned, estimate or budget items there. But what we really wanted to provide was a way to enter that information across all of your features. And of course, as we think about future plans into 2020 and some of the additional reports and dashboards and different tools that we'll be adding to actually take advantage even more of this information. I'm really excited about some of the plans that we have there, and really excited as well about some of the information you can already extract really just from assigning these cost codes and cost impacts as you just go throughout your day-to-day management of the project. Now, before we wrap up today, I do want to, jump into maybe one of the most anticipated items for Construction Online 2020. And Jordan, like you mentioned, we will be having our very next webinar on Tuesday of next week. We'll focus exclusively on estimating, but I did want to make sure that we had a chance to cover today some of the changes that we'll be introducing with our financial advanced estimating module. So for those of you that have been using Construction Online estimates and budgeting tools for a while now, you're familiar with the structure that we have, which is really allowing you to divide your estimate information up into categories within those lines listed underneath your categories. And what we're really introducing with our advanced estimating module is a way to add another layer of detail here, so that we're now tracking, again, additional detail, but on a really organized and grouped way. So now you'll notice that you can have 3 levels of detail in your estimating. For any of you who've been with UDA as a customer for a while, so this is our 20th year, many of you are familiar with our Construction Suite desktop estimator. It's truly a powerhouse estimating platform. Beloved by many, I would say. So it does such a great job. And one of the things that we've been asked a lot over the last couple of years is, hey, do you have plans to introduce some of that detailed estimating capabilities into Construction Online? So I'm so excited to show you guys that indeed that is exactly what we'll be doing here with Construction Online 2020.
Right. So just looking at the wide range of attendees here, in our list today, some of this is going to be very, very, very familiar to you. But for those of you who are joining for the first time, or if you haven't actually seen what an estimate would look like with 3 levels of detail, what we've really done inside of Construction Online is really think about what is the easiest and the most user-friendly way to build a truly detailed estimating system that gives you the flexibility to add information down to a level of detail and really give you a lot of choices on how you present that information to clients, internally to your company, to subcontractors. And really the answer is giving you the ability to set up and categorize and group different components, different parts of your project from a cost standpoint and from a price standpoint, while still giving you the ability to see from a higher level the total amounts of how much the project is going to cost or how much you're going to charge your clients. And really that culminated in adding functionality for different tabs or sheets into the estimate itself. So those of you who are familiar with using our 2-level estimating system, the first page that you see is going to make a ton of sense. You're going to see top-level categories, which are really easily mapped to things like divisions if you're familiar using the CSI cost coding system of the 16 or 50 division breakdown in some cases. But you'll also see summary amounts or, like Holly had mentioned before, roll-up amounts for the estimate in the subcategories, which run down the list here. Now, unlike the current estimating system, or what I should say is the current estimating system from last week, since this is now live, you'll see when you hover over the information in the subcategories, you notice it looks like a hyperlink. When you actually click on the hyperlink, the estimate will instead drill down into that specific subcategory to give you the ability to break down from an itemized perspective all of the different components that make up that subcategory. Now, this is hugely important for those of you who have very detailed estimates that you'll need to build out that take into account a lot of different products, a lot of different materials, a lot of different labor codes in some cases. It really gives you flexibility to build the estimate the way that works the best for you and the type of business that you run. But secondly, the second advantage here is you can roll up that level of detail for the types of clients that you work with so that you're not overwhelming them with too much information in some cases. Or on the flip side, if you work with clients who absolutely have to have that level of detail, you can now provide that to them as well. Now, for those of you who might be slightly concerned, don't worry, this doesn't replace the 2-level estimating system inside of Construction Online. It's another addition. So you actually have a choice now. Mm-hmm. You can choose for the smaller scale or simpler estimates you would need to build to stick with the system that's tried and true and that has worked at this point for over 10 years for so many clients of ours. Or for those of you who have really been chomping at the bit to expand and really flesh out your estimates, now it's here. Now it's ready for you, and it works so well. It is incredibly fast. It feels so fluid to work through because there are so many keyboard shortcuts built into the estimate itself. It is really a true success from our development team, without a doubt.
It is. I've had a chance over the last couple of weeks and working with the new estimator and actually loading in some fantastic estimate templates to be able to share out with my clients, because I know many of you love to have those head starts, so I like to be able to send those out. So I've had a chance to really come in and build estimate after estimate within the system and try out some of the imports, and it really is just such an easy, fluid, streamlined way to estimate for your projects. You do still have that summary estimate option. Now you've got the advanced estimate option. In both cases, you have total control over how that's going to show up on a proposal that you hand off to your clients, which gives you that flexibility to track more detail internally, still present a certain way to your customers, and overall really just mix and match and customize the way that you're handling that financial management, because a lot of jobs really do I think demand a little bit more detail, and so this gives you such a great way to do that. So again, we're going to jump into estimating next week on Tuesday, same time. We'll be having a session where we dive in and cover estimating, advanced estimating in detail. Until then, a couple of additional highlights or things that people have asked me about really over the years is, what about things like not only the additional detail, but being able to manage units. So that's also something new with the advanced estimating module, is being able to tag specific units, customize the list that you see in this drop down here, which makes it really versatile for different types of work. Of course, you have your full screen mode that we're looking at here as well. And then, I think another highlight of the new estimating is the ability to really come in and see and manage your selections and change orders right from your estimate sheet. So again, no worries, you still have your full selection sheet and module and your full change order module. So that's going to be a great place to manage those items and really present to clients. But if we're needing to see how that interacts with the estimate, it's great to be able to go to a tab here, see a list of your change orders, see exactly where they're going to be linked up on your estimate, or maybe same thing for your allowances. So you're really building it all in one holistic financial management platform here. So I think, again, really excited to dive into the details, but did want to provide you guys with a sneak peek of what you can expect.
Yeah, and a couple of other highlights. You might be working in the estimate in a certain view, with certain customized columns. Something that I really think was a great touch, Holly, was the ability to change which summary chart you're looking at the above the estimate without changing the current view of the estimate that you're in right now. I think this is a really, really nice touch. It's really leveraging a lot of the information that was already there, but now we're giving people choices, and I really think that's a huge, huge theme for 2020. Giving you the ability to make the correct choices for your business, for your team, for your clients, for everyone that's involved with your business. We know that day after day, you and your role in your company, you have to make the right choices. Well, and we want to make it a lot easier for you to make the right choices inside of Construction Online. And I think that our team has really succeeded on a lot of different fronts this year. We're so excited that you've joined us today to really look through and join us to see all of the new options and new tools that are at your disposal. We're really excited to find out, what choices you're making, how you're using Construction Online moving forward, how you're leveraging these tools to take your business to new heights and new places coming into the next year. So please, at this point, we would love for you to continue flooding us with questions. I think that the questions panel has been smoking a little bit from the number of questions that have been coming our way. So at this point, we have just enough time to answer a few questions. So please send us your questions in now. We're going to take a few minutes to review.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a few questions while we're already on the estimate tab here. So we have had a couple of questions come in here. One question is just about, is there a way to import estimates that you already have into Construction Online Estimating? So there definitely is. We do have an easy import available. we'll actually jump into a project that maybe does not have an estimate and just show you, just the same as you'll see now when you are creating an estimate, you do have the option to go ahead and just create a blank one and start building that out. And I've been really impressed at how quickly I've been able to move in terms of building new estimates and new templates with the advanced estimator. But you do have a link to download an Excel estimate template, which will show you the format that your information needs to be in so that you can import it in very easily. And of course, if you need help with that, that's what we're here for. So feel free to reach out. We can answer, any questions that you might have about the best way to import or the best way to transfer that information over.
Yeah, see, another question is coming about creating an estimate from an estimate template so that it's pre-populated with the categories, subcategories, and line items. And the answer is absolutely. If you have used UDA Technologies software in the past, you know that we are huge proponents of building and using consistent templates for your projects, whether that is a scheduling framework to make building and adjusting the proper timeline for your project much faster than starting from scratch every time. It is incredibly important, we think, to take the same approach for your estimates as well. One of the worst mistakes that you can make on an estimate is forgetting to include a certain cost. I've heard from plenty of our clients that any cost recorded on an estimate is better than a big, gigantic zero, or even worse, a missing item from an estimate. We would absolutely recommend and encourage you to build your estimate templates in the way that suits you and the way that you estimate and budget for your projects. That way, when you move into actually producing a proposal for your client or for tracking the budget of the projects that you are responsible for, that you're not missing that project critical information. And it couldn't be simpler. Once you've loaded the template or saved the template into Construction Online, you just click the middle button here to pick the estimate that you'd like to use for this project, and then it will load in like half a second, something like that. It's incredibly fast.
It is. It is an incredibly fast system, and another question that we see coming in pretty commonly about the estimating is, what about the integration with QuickBooks? So that is something that is in progress. So with that advanced estimating module, currently it will just be a couple of, a little ways off before you're able to integrate that in with QuickBooks. I don't want to say, like a couple of weeks or anything, but that's actually something that we are working on for you now, and definitely know that there's a demand. Of course, here at UDA, we definitely know QuickBooks integration and really what those expectations are on your front. So the plan, will be that very soon you'll be able to integrate this with both your QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop versions through both the advanced and summary estimates.
And it's not going to be a one-line integration either. We're going to give you the same type of flexibility that you've seen from us in the past, and probably into not only the subcategory level of detail. I'm pretty certain that you'll also be able to, if for those of you who are very, very meticulous about tracking your costs, all the way down to the line item level. So if that's something that you're really have been looking for, that's going to be available for you here in the next coming weeks, without a doubt.
Definitely. Now, we have had a great question from a client who wants to know, with the map information with time tracking, does this currently include traffic patterns and delays? And right now it does not. However, we work with so many of you that are doing different types of work that we've really begun. So it's really, again, a fun opportunity. I love to talk about things that we're working on here. Just in terms of next steps for some of these features and tools, it's always really awesome for us to introduce a new feature and then see everybody start using it and be really excited and asking a lot of questions. So I love to talk about those things. We do have right now, of course, the ability to capture that information. The next couple of steps for us as we start to look at time tracking will be to really implement some geofencing options, so we'll be able to really remind people to clock in and out as they're entering or leaving job sites, and then potentially to use some of that information to start really planning out resources, kind of based on location and things like that. Another really nice thing that was introduced this year in terms of map integration is really just your overall project map. So that's something that for any job that you've entered an address for if you come to your company projects list. The default, of course, is going to be your list view, but we have actually given you a map view as well, so that you can really drill in and see your projects, where they're located. And the plan here is for us to give some of those filtering options that you're seeing on this left-hand side to things like your project list and your map, so that you'll be able to say, well, maybe show me all of my active projects, on a map or in this list. So again, Jordan, I think you said it best, buckle up. I expect 2020 to be a really exciting year in terms of not just what this new version holds already, but some of the things that we have planned for you guys. Let's see. So many great questions here. I always love when we get a ton of questions. We have had a couple of people just ask, hey, if we could send a template your way, or some of the formatting for the estimates. So definitely, anyone who would like that, feel free to just raise your hand or send over a quick message, and I'll be happy to follow up with you individually after the webinar today and send some of that information your way. I think, though, for now, that just about wraps us up in terms of what we have time for questions. I noticed that a couple of you are, of course, asking about timing for some of the additional webinars, or maybe going into questions on some of those. So just a quick recap for the session that we're having today. Of course, as with all of our webinars, we will be posting the recording on our events page. So for any of you who want to go back and watch and take a closer look at some of the changes, or maybe have some of your employees take a look, that is going to be available at udatechnologies.com/events. And we'll also send out a link to that recording by email to everyone who signed up. So we'll get that out to you guys just as soon as we have that available. All of our webinar recordings are available on demand on that events page. So you can come back and take a look at any of those, or share those with your team. Dive into maybe some of the recent changes for Redline, or some of the deep dives that we've done into some of the things like the ConstructionOnline Drive. So those are going to be great references for you. In terms of what's coming up next, we definitely have a great lineup.
Yeah, so starting next Thursday, that is today, my mistake. We're still live today. Looking at next Tuesday, November the 12th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, we're going to be doing a true exploration of what it's like using the advanced estimating feature inside of Construction Online. So we're going to show you what it's like to start from a blank estimate. We're going to show you what it looks like when you're using a really fleshed out estimate template, and really drill into what you can do with a truly detailed estimate inside of Construction Online. I'm really, really excited for this one. For those of you who have attended our Construction Suite webinars in the past and seen how the estimates work there, you're probably going to feel right at home. And that's exactly what we want you to feel like. For those of you who haven't joined any of those types of webinars before, welcome to your new home. It's going to be very exciting.
It is. So 1 week from today, so next week on Thursday, so we'll be doing actually 2 workshops next week to introduce some of these new changes to you guys. On Thursday of next week, we'll be covering Construction Online 2020 new and improved mobile app. So some of the changes that we've seen here today, there have also been a ton of just great enhancements to the mobile app experience. I am really loving what our team has done in terms of just ease of entering information into Construction Online mobile, some of the updates that they've done for time tracking, of course, but really every feature has some new updates that just make it easier to enter information into the system. So we think that you and your field teams will really love the brand new app. And then, of course, the following week, Wednesday, November 20th, Jordan and I will resume our Lunch and Learn series with a deep dive into time tracking, and in particular, how to use some of the new notes, photos, and cost code options that we have for time tracking now as well.
Yeah, if you have just a few minutes left with us today, you absolutely should head over, register for these events. You'll notice in some places you have the option to submit questions to us ahead of time. Please, if you have questions that are just burning about any of these topics, absolutely submit them. You have questions, we have answers. We'd love to share. We'd love to collaborate.
Always. Until next time, though, we definitely want to thank all of you for investing and spending some of your time with us this afternoon. We are excited to continue to bring new enhancements and features to Construction Online, and we hope that you'll continue to join us. Until next week, hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. And again, thanks so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. You all take care. Have a great weekend.